Hey guys, Besa Gordon here. Until next time, you already know what I'm going to tell you to do. Have an amazing rest of your day. And of course, keep that energy high. Welcome back to another episode of Back to Besa. I'm your host, Besa Gordon. This week on Back to Besa, we go backstage to the first preseason Seattle Kraken game. We highlight Boon Boona in Renton for National Coffee Day. Plus, we highlight the country of El Salvador for National Hispanic Heritage Month. We remember those gone far too soon at the National Day of Remembrance ceremony in Seattle. And head over to Boise, Idaho for the NATAS Northwest Storytelling Conference. By now, I hope you know I love to highlight upcoming events. So we talk about what might be the biggest art pop-up in the Pacific Northwest, and we talk about the upcoming AEW matches at Climate Pledge Arena with Paul Wight, aka The Big Show himself, and Bryan Danielson. I also take a moment to let you know who I am and how I got to where I am now. But first, it's Hot Topics. When I first started watching AEW, I fell in love with Jade Cargill. She's just a whole vibe, okay? Fun fact about Jade, when she participated in the AEW TBS Championship Tournament, she beat Ruby Soho for the championship and held the title for 508 days and went 60 matches without losing. Absolutely epic. Well, once her AEW contract ended, rumors started floating around that she would sign a contract with WWE. And turns out the rumors were true. I will definitely miss Jade on AEW, but I have to say, I'm happy she will continue to grace my TV screen. Now, in case you missed it, when Beyonce took her tour to her hometown of Houston, Texas recently, she brought out Megan Thee Stallion to perform their song Savage Remix. And of course, Meg killed it. There was even a moment where Beyonce tells Meg on stage, "I love you, girl." And you already know Meg responded with, "I love you too, Beyonce." Lastly, in Hot Topics, in a recent podcast interview with Apple Music, Chloe Bailey talked about how Michael B. Jordan is her celebrity crush and why she hasn't shot her shot yet. Check it out.
Right now, DM Michael B. Jordan. No. You could be blocking your blessings, and I know you're big on blessings.
I'm big on blessings, but I'm like, God will bring my blessings to me when they're supposed to be there.
We've got to stop expecting our blessings to land at our door, Chloe.
But when we try to force it, we could block other blessings.
Ladies, before we get out of here, I gotta ask you, are you shooting your shot in 2023? If you have, shoot me an email at back2Besa@whereweconverge.com. Now it's time for Backstage Pass powered by Quantum Fiber. Earlier this week, I headed over to Climate Pledge Arena for the Seattle Kraken's first home preseason game against the Calgary Flames. Now, because I always love to give you all the scoop on what's going down, I pulled up early and went backstage with my buddy DJ Trunks, who gave me some DJ 101 lessons, and yes, I need more. And then I sat down with the voice of the Kraken, Everett Fitzhugh, and it turns out he started on the street team in radio just like me. I also saw my good sis and Kraken super fan plus an original member of the 32 crew, Alicia Crank, to learn some hockey etiquette, okay? Check out what went down. Hey guys, dude, we are back. Kraken season is finally back upon us. I'm not gonna hold you, I've been waiting and I had to pull up on Fitz, AKA The Voice, because Fitz was actually my first Kraken interview last season. It was my first game, and I was like, dude, what am I going to expect? And everything that he said I would expect is exactly what I expected, and that is why I'm back right now.
We should do one of those like record scratch flashbacks to that first interview. You may be wondering and asking yourself why I got myself in this position. Well, let me tell you. You picked a heck of a season to get into this, and now you're back for year 2.
No, absolutely. And last season, I went from actually watching the game and being confused to literally running through the station lounge in my heels after we scored and just being like, ah!
Yeah, see, that's the best part about, especially building a new team in Seattle where you had a lot of casual fans in the beginning, and a lot of folks who didn't know much about the game, and now they are doing that. Now they understand the game. They understand, they love this team. They are as excited as we are as broadcasters, as the players are, everybody who works here. It's like one big Kraken family, and I love it.
right, guys, we are backstage at the Space Needle Lounge in Climate Pledge Arena with Kraken superfan Alicia Craig.
What's up, everybody?
Now, in case you don't know, Alicia is actually also a part of the 32 crew. So, real quick, Alicia, for those that don't know, what is the 32 crew?
The 32 crew is the original fan group that's been sanctioned finally by the Kraken. We started this before we even knew the team's name.
Say there's someone that wants to get it together before the season starts. What is one thing that they need to know so that way they don't look like a newbie?
It's almost like going to the theater. If the thing is in play, you cannot walk past people. You got to stand there and wait for your allowance to be ushered to your seat. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself beat up at the arena.
I am backstage with my buddy DJ Trunks, and dude, Kraken Game hasn't started, so you know I had to pull up on him and get some details. Trunks, please tell us where we are at Climate Pledge Arena and what we got going on here.
Well, right now we're up in the Space Needle Lounge on the main stage. This is where the bands perform too. I have my 1000 SRT set up right here, and I'm plugged in with my XLR cable into the best sound system in the NHL. This is pretty much where the bands play. We have special guests come up here and do things. This is where a lot of our great camera shots come from. And so yeah, this is our stage.
Big shout out to Fitz, Alicia, Trunks, and even Strawberry for letting me go backstage with them for the first preseason home game for our Seattle Kraken. And dude, be sure to be on the lookout for me at the first regular season home game happening October 17th. When I tell you, I've been literally waiting for the Kraken season to come back. It's something about the energy at Climate Pledge during these games that honestly can't be explained. You truly have to experience it to understand the vibes. I'll definitely be at a lot of the games this season, and I truly hope to see you there. Big shout out to Fitz, Trunks, Alicia for taking time to chat with me before the game and give you all the scoop. We're off to our first commercial break, but when we come back, we're highlighting Boon Boona Coffee for National Coffee Day, plus Back2Besa producer Cesar Canizales highlights El Salvador for National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Hadestown is the Tony and Grammy Award-winning Best Musical. It's an epic celebration of music, togetherness, and hope. A Broadway musical like no other. This is as good as it gets. Hadestown.
Playing the Paramount Theater October 31st to November 5th. Tickets at stgpresents.org.
Fifth Avenue Theater presents Disney's The Little Mermaid the Musical. Live on stage this September, Ariel soars above the stage to find the world of her dreams and a life of romance and adventure, featuring your favorite songs and characters, performing just for you at the beautiful Fifth Avenue Theater in downtown Seattle. Tickets are on sale now. Fun for the whole family to enjoy together, and special pricing for groups of 10 or more. Only at the Fifth Avenue Theater. Order today at fifthavenue.org.
Big Tobacco thinks they know everything. They think they know you, your community, the places you go, and the way that you spend your time. They think they got you all figured out, down to a formula, a calculation based off of numbers of what they think they know. Show them they're wrong. Learn more at theythinktheyknowyou.org.
1 in every 500 African Americans in the U.S. suffers from sickle cell disease. 1 in 3 African American blood donors is a match for patients with sickle cell. 1 appointment to donate blood with the American Red Cross can help save a life. Will you be that one? Visit redcrossblood.org/ourblood today to schedule an appointment at a location near you.
Welcome back to Besa. Now, let's be honest. People here in Seattle love their coffee, including me. But did you know that today is National Coffee Day? In honor of this prestigious occasion, I called up Ephraim Fasaha, owner of Boon Boona coffee chain, in order to learn more about the process of taking a coffee bean to our coffee cups. Plus, I also learned the traditional Ethiopian coffee ceremony. Check it out. I don't know if you know this, but September 29th is National Coffee Day. So I had to pull up on Ephraim over at Boon Boona right here in Renton, Washington, to not only learn about coffee, but find out how that coffee bean goes from a bean and gets into our cup. We're gonna learn some traditional coffee making practices. We're gonna learn what cupping is, which is actually a very, very dope process. Plus, we're also going to try some of their seasonal flavors and a little bit more. Let's check out what goes down today. Okay, Ali, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm gonna hold you. I just counted about 12 cups in front of me, all right? Nice. We got some cards that are over, we got some names on them, we got some that are turned over. What is happening here?
It is cupping happening here. Cupping is basically the main tool, most common tool for sensory evaluation in coffee. And it's used for different purposes. It's easy to set up, easy to repeat. And so yeah, that's why it's easy for a standardized testing sensory evaluation.
Okay, well shoot, what's the first part of cupping?
So we weigh this out and then I'm going to grind it back there on the grinder, bring it back here, and I will pour hot water. Let it brew for 4 minutes. There's gonna be a crust forming on top. So this is breaking the crust. You get really close and then just swirl the top. It just breaks it apart, but you really get in there so you can get the smell.
All right, you guys, we are still at Boon Boona in Renton, but right now I have the man of the hour, the owner himself, Ephraim, with me.
What's up, Besa?
Dude, I'm excited, okay? Tell me, we have a lot of things going on here, and we have some beautiful cups in front of us. Can you tell me, what we got going on right now?
Yeah, so what we're about to do, this is the traditional coffee ceremony. So this is traditional to Ethiopia, Eritrea, even kind of goes a little bit outside of those places too. But what we're going to start off with is green coffee. So the raw product, so this came directly from Ethiopia itself. And then we're gonna roast it with a pan. Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee. And so you've got a little bit of a story behind it. I'll share you that story with you. So start off though, I got a little bit of green coffee in my pan. So it's all set up, ready to go.
It's almost like it's not even about how here we're drinking coffee to wake up.
Yeah.
You guys are drinking it as like a bonding and a way to come together.
Yeah, I would say that's a big part of it, is definitely the bonding, is the community that happens around the coffee. I mean, I'll be honest too, you need to kind of wake up to, but it kind of goes beyond that, because the amount of time you're spending there is to cultivate that. So so I added the water, I'm just shaking it up just to stir it all up. I'm gonna turn on the heat now, and we're gonna put that clay pot, that jebana, directly on top. So this is at a full brew. I'm gonna put the cap right on it. That kind of helps retain the heat. I'm gonna take the jebana, let it sit over there. For me, when I go and visit my family and we're having the coffee, this way, it's therapeutic. It's a time to gossip, it's a time to laugh, it's a time to, even mourn, but it's a valuable time. And so it's something that I always look forward to. And of course, to get this experience in the cafe setting, it takes a little bit more time or whatnot, but we want to try finding a good balance between this kind of traditional approach and that of I need my espresso to go. Thank you so much first, for having tried black coffee for your first time and doing it the jebana style. It's incredible. You got to do the cupping as well.
Yes.
These are our seasonal drinks, and so the first one is an almond anise. The second one is a salted pumpkin caramel latte. So we ain't just trying to do a regular pumpkin latte. This is a salted pumpkin caramel latte. We make the caramel in-house. The whole entire pumpkin, it's your real puree of pumpkin. This last one, I can't wait for you to try it, is what we call bezo or tehni. And this is a common kind of breakfast, beverage in the mornings in East Africa.
This was so much more than what I expected coming in here today. So I'm so happy that we were able to, do the crusting and the cupping and actually roast the coffee beans because, you're able to see these things so differently when you're really able to see it go from coffee bean to your cup.
Yeah, exactly.
In all of my years of drinking coffee, I've never tried black coffee until now, and I'm happy that my first time trying it was the traditional way. If you haven't been to Boon Boona, they have 3 locations, one in Renton, the CD, and the U District, so be sure to check them out. Our producer, Cesar Canizales, has been with Converge family for over a year and Back2Besa since day one. He's reported on very serious issues like gun violence, racial justice, and even city politics, but also stories about growing Indigenous media star Faith Ayuk's, the Pacific Northwest Ballet, and so much more. Recently, Cesar had a well-deserved vacation to his home country of El Salvador, so just in time for National Hispanic Heritage Month, Cesar wanted to share with you a little about his country.
Hey, Besa. I'm in El Salvador, my birthplace. At 8,100 square miles, it's one of the smallest countries in Latin America. It's about 1/10 the size of Washington State. It's right in the Pacific Ocean. It has beautiful beaches like this one, volcanoes, natural lakes, and more. Take a look.
El Salvador is sometimes called the land of volcanoes. That's because there are 20 volcanoes in the country, many of them still active. But it's so much more than that. This tiny country has about 200 miles of beaches, some of them world-class surfing areas that attract surfers from abroad. There's natural beauty and wildlife, like this toucan that seemed to enjoy being on camera. More than 6.3 million people live here, friendly, hospitable, hardworking, and entrepreneurial people. Hola! I still have family here, including my mother, a younger brother, and quite a few cousins, aunts, and uncles. Many Salvadorans who live in the US left this country in the 1980s because of a civil war that killed more than 75,000 people. Others continued to migrate north because of gang violence. But the history of El Salvador dates back hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Before the Spanish colonization of Latin America, this area of El Salvador was populated by the Pipil people, part of the Maya civilization. This is San Andres, one of the many ruins around El Salvador. We're about 15 miles from San Salvador, the capital of the country.
The Spanish arrived in 1492 and aimed to conquer and exploit the land of its natural resources. They ruled for 3 centuries, often violently. They brought disease, and it is believed they massacred many native people. The Pipil who lived in El Salvador were mostly farmers who spoke the Nahuatl language. In the 1970s, construction workers discovered a Pipil village just a couple of miles from the San Andres ruins. The village had been buried under several meters of volcanic ashes after a nearby volcano erupted around the year 650. Hoya de Seren, as it is now called, was designated a World Heritage Site because it was nearly intact and it gave archaeologists insights into how the indigenous people lived at the time. They found houses that were still standing, clay ovens, pottery, and even food. They did not find any human remains. Scientists believe common people lived at Hoya de Seren, while the elite lived and ruled from the nearby San Andres pyramids. The volcanoes that destroyed the village are responsible for the many lakes in El Salvador.
This is Lake Coatepeque. It's one of the many lakes around El Salvador that were formed by volcanic eruptions through the years. This one in particular was formed through 4 volcanic explosions that happened between 50 and 70,000 years ago. There are hot springs all around the lake, all heated by magma that still flows under the lake to this day.
The volcanoes here are part of the Ring of Fire, a string of volcanoes that stretch from Chile in South America through Central America and Mexico up to the Pacific Northwest. Mount Rainier is part of this ring, to Alaska and all the way into Asia. One of the more visually impressive volcanoes is Izalco.
We are here in front of one of the youngest volcanoes in El Salvador. It was burning at 70 and it's spent almost 200 doing eruption every single day. That's why the nickname of this volcano is the Lighthouse of Pacific.
It is right next to the oldest and biggest volcano in the land, the Santa Ana. Several of the volcanoes in El Salvador are still active, but you can hike many of them all the way to the craters.
We have the volcano of Santa Ana, which is considered the highest volcano of this wonderful country. It's a nice experience. If you want to do it, this is the volcano for you. It's a very friendly hike, and when you get the crater, you have a big surprise. You can see a green lagoon on the crater.
The food here is not spicy hot. In many cases, it is based on corn, like the main dish you can find at just about every corner.
This is a pupusa. It's basically the national dish of El Salvador. It's a corn tortilla filled with cheese, beans, or pork, or all three. It's really delicious stuff. You should try it.
Just about everyone in El Salvador loves pupusas. They look easy to make, but it takes years to master the art. Going out for pupusas is a family affair for many. People at this restaurant in Old Town San Salvador pack this restaurant that is considered one of the best. They make hundreds of pupusas every hour. The people in El Salvador are very friendly, happily greeting strangers and sometimes trying to tell you about themselves and selling you on the art they've created. It is a beautiful country that has had trouble in the past, but people here continue to thrive and to improve their lives.
El Salvador is one of 6 countries in Central America. They include Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. All very similar. We all speak Spanish, for example, but each has its own rich history and culture.
Cesar, thank you so much for taking time to show us your homeland in such a special way, even while you were on vacation. If there was one thing I said I would do more starting this year, it's travel, and El Salvador is now for sure on my list of places to visit. We're off to another commercial break, but when we come back, we take a moment to remember the lives of those in our community gone far too soon at the National Day of Remembrance. Welcome back to Back2Besa. On Monday, the city of Seattle joined the rest of our nation in observance of the National Day of Remembrance for murder victims. Here in the Emerald City, an emotional, somber, and sobering ceremony took place at First AME Church on Capitol Hill, where victims were honored and family members were loved on and community organizations acknowledged. Audrey Jackson, the mother of slain rapper Pop Smoke, was a keynote panelist. Back2Besa producers Winfield Ezel Jr., Francisco Lopez, and Carlos Samani captured this powerful event.
We've got to keep our head on the swivel and not just bury the victims, but go further upstream and ask the question, what in the world is going on? Marvin penned with poetic prose and pinpoint precision a roll call, mother, 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 there are far too many of you crying. Father, 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 we don't need to escalate. And he lands again, brother, 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 what is going on? And so the roll call is in the room. It's you, it's me, it's us. Mothers, far too many crying. Fathers, we don't need to escalate or retaliate. But it's roll call time now.
History's being read, but it's also being written. And the good thing about history is that it can only happen one day at a time. I'm honored to be a part of a piece of history today that our mayor has saw it fit that we don't overstep challenges that have happened, but this will be a legacy that is set that we will always take time to remember, and that deserves an applause in and of itself.
This year we're bringing a community together which consists of survivors, parents, family members, faith leaders, community organizations, civic leaders, to honor those we've lost to gun violence, centering their surviving family, the parents, their siblings, their friends, extended family, uplifting those on the front line. I see it.
What are we doing with what's left? What are we doing with the energy? What are we doing with the light? What are we doing with the thing that gives us joy to know that we gave birth to that, or we had that for a little bit, right? For too short a time. What are we doing with that? So strength for me is the fact that I wake up every day and I gotta figure out today. One day at a time, one step at a time, one word at a time. If you want to sit in your bed, this is what I do. I sit in my bed. And if my leg don't want to move, don't move. Don't move. Okay? No matter what no one says, oh girl, no. Because you don't know what I've been through. And you don't know how my heart is beating at this time. Cry. That's a lot. That's a lot. And you don't owe anybody stoic. Tell the mayor I told you. It's gonna be okay. And things like this give us permission to be all right with where we are right now.
May the rocks cry out, but not for me. Let me worship who you are, God, on my own. Let it be my life. Let it be this poem. For every tear-filled eye, for every frustrated day, in our darkest hours, we'll remember to say that you make everything glorious. Can you say that with me? That you make everything glorious. That you make everything glorious. And that means me.
And so I want to acknowledge, I know my team Southeast Networks here, Community Passageways, Kirkland Family, and YMCA. It is the endless work that the team members do every day. It's all of those things that were mentioned earlier that you don't see that have contributed to incidents that have not escalated, that have not ended in a fatality or a critical incident. So thank you all.
Young men need somebody to say something positive to them. And 9 times out of 10, young men need other men, right? That are gonna be positive influences. They're looking for a big bro, an uncle, a dad, a father figure. They need that. They want somebody to be stern and let them know this is what you ain't gonna do no more. We can't just keep sitting back looking at them, shaking our finger in our head saying, oh, look at these bad kids. We gotta stop doing that. We gotta step into their lives.
Today, the Harrell administration wants our Seattle community to know that your loved one is not just a statistic. They're not just a number on a shots fired report. They're not just a shell casing on the ground. We want to give a name and a face and a story to your loved ones, to your uncle, your brother, your sister. They were a part of our beloved community, and we want to ensure that your family members will never be erased.
We're losing so many people to violence in our city and our country. The sense of loss and despair of those parents at First AME who now have empty chairs at empty tables, praying and reminiscing back when their loved ones still walked among us. They are determined to never letting the world forget that they were here too. They too lived. Thank you so much to the City of Seattle for being intentional in this special ceremony. Now, I know that was a lot for some, but these are things that we can't ignore happening in our community and our country. So we're going to take a moment to take a breath as we go to commercial break. But when we come back, we're recapping what happened at the NATAS Northwest Storytelling Conference in Boise, Idaho.
The Fifth Avenue Theater presents Disney's The Little Mermaid the Musical. Live on stage this September, Ariel soars above the stage to find the world of her dreams and a life of romance and adventure. Featuring your favorite songs and characters, performing just for you at the beautiful Fifth Avenue Theater in downtown Seattle. Tickets are on sale now. Fun for the whole family to enjoy together. And special pricing for groups of 10 or more. Only at the Fifth Avenue Theater. Order today at fifthavenue.org.
Hadestown is the Tony and Grammy Award-winning Best Musical. It's an epic celebration of music, togetherness, and hope. A Broadway musical like no other. This is as good as it gets. Hadestown.
Playing the Paramount Theater October 31st to November 5th. Tickets at stgpresents.org.
Welcome back to Back2Besa. We've all heard of the Emmy Awards in Seattle, but did you know the organization behind the show, the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Northwest Chapter, is also helping people elevate their own storytelling skills? Recently, I went to a very unexpected place to learn from some of the best in the business to make my storytelling even stronger. Sometimes, when you have a vision of something great, you have to be willing to make the journey from where you're at to where you want to be. Well, I'll be honest, Boise, Idaho is not the place I thought I would be on this journey. But that's where NATAS, the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Northwest Chapter, was holding a storytelling workshop. And in all honesty, I can't say I want Back2Besa to be an Emmy Award-winning show and not put in the work and the miles to take it there. So I hopped on the Alaska jet to the City of Trees to learn how to tell better stories from some of the best in our region to do it.
Very excited to be here. As you can see, we have young people here, college students. We have people in the field. We have people in corporate as well. We all are storytellers, and that's the reason why we're here today, to learn, to give, and also to be able to get back to the work that we do and tell really great stories.
Being in that workshop and kind of learning how to navigate that and listening to people who were trailblazers or are trailblazers made me feel like, okay, maybe I should keep going. I was gonna keep going anyways, but it gave me a lot of confidence, like, you know, you might be the only person in the room, but, you know, people notice you in positive ways and negative ways, but you have to just, you know, make your mark in the room.
For anyone who's watching that's young, that wants to become a content creator, a storyteller, or a journalist, you can do this. You have your phone. Like, you have so much opportunity and potential to just blow up and be viral if you want, and it's something that people from older generations didn't have. So just know you can do whatever you want, and there's room for everyone.
This is a workshop that is a non-profit-minded event, as a way for NATAS Northwest to give back, to invest in the next generation, but also to inspire those of us who've been in the industry for a while to get together, to collaborate, to learn from one another, and we're just thrilled with being able to offer this to the community.
Truly, it's just been a really great experience to be around like minds and to be around other storytellers. It feels really good being here today, and looking forward for us to do more of these.
Super excited because this is some outreach. You know, NATAS and the chapter we have, it's much more than about the Emmy Awards. It's about engaging with students, young professionals, kind of advancing the television arts.
It's a big day. The Storytellers Workshop here in Boise, Idaho. Some of the best and brightest minds in film, TV, production, getting together, sort of sharing our trade secrets. And for people like me, it's a chance to see how impressive these students are and how much I need to get better and how fast.
Just be yourself. Everyone's been saying it all day. Just be yourself, and that's how people kind of receive you. They'll just receive you well if you just walk into a room and you're like, I'm Jessica Davis. And they're like, okay.
I want to say thank you to everyone at NATAS, the instructors, and Boise State University. And best believe that on this journey to TV excellence, I'll keep trusting the process and showing up to learn as much as I can. Dude, first of all, let me tell you, Boise was a whole vibe. The conference was really dope, and I met other media professionals across the region, and I ate good food. More on that next week. A great thing about NATAS is that the Northwest chapter offers scholarships every year. They award up to 3 $5,000 scholarships, plus they include a 1-year mentorship. Go to natasnw.org to learn more. We're off to another commercial break, but when we come back, I'm taking you all on a rewind of my personal journey from entertainment blogger to being here on your TV screen today. You're watching Back2Besa. Welcome back to Back2Besa. Can you believe this is episode 14? It's hard to believe that we launched this fabulous adventure just a few months back on July 1st. Well, since then, my friends at Fox 13 Seattle tell me that we continue to grow our viewing audience week after week, all because of you, and I'm so grateful. That being said, I thought I would share with you something about me and my journey. This segment premiered in episode 1, but I thought I would play it again now for those who are new to Back2Besa so you can learn a little more about me. These days, you see me on Fox 13, hear me on Hits 106.1, or you might even see me hanging out in community with my Converge media fam. But to be honest, friend, my journey to your TV screen started many years ago in the Central District of Seattle, where ever since I was a little girl, I dreamed of being right here, right now with you. So believe it or not, this very moment that we are sharing together is a dream come true. Getting here feels good for sure, but it hasn't been easy and definitely did not happen overnight. 15 years ago, when I graduated from Cleveland High School, the first thing I did was launch my very first entertainment blog named Besa.com, and soon found myself as a writer on the region's online urban destination at the time, which was cspot.com. And not long after that, dude, I fell in love with YouTube and launched my own channel called Besa TV, where I let the world know my thoughts on everything. A few years after that, in 2015, I got hired at iHeartMedia Seattle and finally got my first taste of radio working with Cube 93, which at the time was one of the biggest hip-hop and R&B stations in this part of America. But before we get all excited, it would be years later before I ever even touched a microphone. I spent the first 3 years on the street team and doing promotions. Yeah, that would be me, setting up tents and handing out stickers. But like anything, all good things take time. And in 2018, I moved on up to the studio, all at the same time, still letting the world know my opinion on my YouTube channel. You won't believe that 8 years later, from the days of setting up tents and doing sticker stops, not only am I one of the few black women holding down top 40 radio in America via Hits 106.1 right here in Seattle, but I'm also on the air in Portland, Fresno, Sacramento, Austin, Texas, and you know, some things really do just take time. Almost 3 years ago, I arrived at Converge Media. I told them that my goal was to be on TV and I was willing to work hard to get there. Converge took my career and opportunities to new heights, and it has been my time at Converge a place where I could sharpen my skills, learn, develop, and hang with other queens like me. All along growing my Real Seattle Media Mixers, where media and marketing experts come together to network, to uplift each other's businesses, and to put young, up-and-coming, aspiring media professionals up on game. The Media Mixers are really my way of giving back to all those who poured into me on my journey. I guess what I really want to say to you right now is that I didn't get here overnight, and I definitely didn't get here alone. I want you to know that even now, I am just a round-the-way girl from the Central District of Seattle, still chasing those same childhood dreams and believing that anything is possible. And all I have to do is keep trusting the process. Thank you for joining me on this journey. When I look back at that video from episode 1, sitting here now at episode 14, I have to take a moment to just be thankful and show gratitude to all of you. Some of you have been with me on this journey for over a decade, and for others, this is your first time tuning in. But either way, I just want you to know that I am so appreciative of you taking time to be intentional, to tune in, to share on social media, to send emails, to just show me and show this show love. Just know that I cherish all of you and will never take your support for granted. Now that we know each other a little better, we're off to another break, but when we come back, it's time for events to know about.
Big Tobacco thinks they know everything. They think they know you, your community, the places you go, and the way that you spend your time. They think they got you all figured out, down to a formula, a calculation based off of numbers of what they think they know. Show them they're wrong. Learn more at theythinktheyknowyou.org.
The The Fifth Avenue Theater presents Disney's The Little Mermaid the Musical. Live on stage this September, Ariel soars above the stage to find the world of her dreams and a life of romance and adventure, featuring your favorite songs and characters, performing just for you at the beautiful Fifth Avenue Theater in downtown Seattle. Tickets are on sale now. Fun for the whole family to enjoy together, and special pricing for groups of 10 or more. Only at the Fifth Avenue Theater. Order today at fifthavenue.org.
Hadestown is the Tony and Grammy Award-winning Best Musical. It's an epic celebration of music, togetherness, and hope. A Broadway musical like no other. This is as good as it gets. Hadestown.
Playing the Paramount Theater October 31st to November 5th. Tickets at stgpresents.org.
1 in every 500 African Americans in the U.S. suffers from sickle cell disease. 1 in 3 African American blood donors is a match for patients with sickle cell. 1 appointment to donate blood with the American Red Cross can help save a life. Will you be that one? Visit redcrossblood.org/ourblood today to schedule an appointment at a location near you.
Welcome back to Back2Besa. This week on Events to Know About, I wanted to showcase 2 events coming up that truly mean a lot to me. First up, the Terrain Art Festival in Spokane is definitely something you have to see to believe. And let me tell you, if I hadn't witnessed it for myself last year, I would not believe the art scene was that big in the 509. Terrain is an annual event where over 300 artists have works on display and over 10,000 people make their way through the door with a line down the block and around the corner. It's coming up again next month on October 6th, and I thought I would show you how it went down last year for any of you that thought about attending.
One of the reasons why we started Terrain in the first place is we wanted the creative community to feel like they had a sense of place, a sense of home. When we started Terrain 13 years ago, we were losing a lot of our young and creative people, and I think we're seeing that shift, and people are choosing to stay in Spokane, choosing as their home. So I think it's just, again, I can't say enough: community, place, belonging. So we are standing in an abandoned warehouse. It's about 120,000 square feet. We've taken over the first 3 floors. There's 354 artists, there's 22 films, there's 12 bands, 12 literary readings, 5 dance performances, so a little bit of everything within the creative spectrum. Typically we get 10 to 13,000 people through the door from 5 p.m. to midnight. Our capacity this year is 1,400 people inside and 1,000 outside. And you've seen that line. It's been that way for the last 4 or 5 hours. So numbers are still coming in, but I definitely think it's going to be a really great year for us.
So important for so many artists to come in here, express themselves, musicians, live performers, like it's just dope. Yeah. The Black Lives Matter mural, yes, I was part of that. I ended up doing the letter C and the word black, and I had to actually redo it because some very disgruntled people decided to deface it, but we stayed strong and we did it again. So I think that's why it's just wrapped around the building, because people just are craving that good energy, and that's what Terrain brings. So good energy, good art, good people.
We have to do things like this to kind of put ourselves on the map, so to speak, and make some noise. And I think that this is the perfect thing to do, because it is a combination of spoken word, of music, of, again, culture and art, and different type of visual arts. And I think that Terrain is growing each and every year, and it's definitely something to try to compete with if anyone in the region can, but I don't think so. They have grown over the years to be something that is over 300 artists that come to this event. Me as a writer, I like anything that's spoken word and poetry and expression, and so that's my favorite part of this is, and the display that they have for the spoken word is magnificent. I'm not sure if you had a chance to get over there, but it's dope. I love it. We're not anything to just sneeze at over here in Spokane. We might be small, but we mighty.
I'm moving around my pen cause I don't know what I'm doing. Searching for the words cause I feel I might be losing. Moving around my soul, my wings would make me waiting. If I stick around, it's gonna end up devastating. Yes, I think it's time I know.
Last night we were walking around and there was someone who said, my goodness, this city has a lot to say. And I think for me, the thing that sticks out is just the opportunity for folks who are either novices to folks who are professionals to be able to showcase their art all in one space. I think for me, it's just transformative. It gives every artist the opportunity to show up without this barrier of competition and to have the opportunity to showcase in a very special, intentional way.
Doesn't really matter what medium of art you do, you're accepted and welcome here. And it's really fascinating to see all these communities come together one night out of the year and really celebrate art as a whole, celebrate our community, and celebrate each other.
Terrain is dope. It's legit. It's bringing people together. It's bringing people out, and I feel like people feel inspired. And so if you're not here, next year you need to get here.
I just think we need each other. And I think that an event like this proves it.
My good sis, Ginger Ewing, and the whole team at Terrain do such an amazing job uplifting art and creating opportunities for artists in Spokane. You will find me back in the 509 again next week, soaking in all the amazing art. You can get your tickets for this year's festival now at terrainspokane.com. In case you missed it, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and when I found out Paul Wight, formerly known as The Big Show, wanted to sit down with me, I almost lost it. In the best way, of course. Earlier today was part 1 of AEW at Climate Pledge Arena, and part 2 is tomorrow. Check out what Paul had to say.
Wrestle Dream is probably going to be one of the best cards we've had this year so far. I mean, every match on Wrestle Dream could be a main event at any other show. I mean, almost every championship's on the line. The score of talent that's going to be on Wrestle Dream is ridiculous. You're going to have MJF, Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Will Ospreay, the Young Bucks, Konosuke Takeshita. There's, Chris Statlander against Julia Hart for the TBS championship. Like I remember the FTR is going to be competing. The Young Guns are going to be competing, Colton and Austin Gunn. And when you look at this card, it's like there's so much happening. Saturday night is Collision. Collision's going to have a lot of action, I guarantee, driving towards Sunday. So, AEW basically is taking over Seattle this weekend. Climate Pledge Arena, tickets still available at Ticketmaster. That's my sales pitch.
Well, I'll be at both of the events as far as I'm concerned.
Will ya?
I'm definitely going to be
You sure
there Saturday.
we have to twist your arm now?
No, I actually asked for my tickets from iHeart like last month, if not a month before last.
You got them ahead of time. Ooh, look at
Oh,
you.
absolutely. I was like, you guys already know that I need to be there. Man, Paul might be a big guy, but he's truly an amazing human being. Stay tuned for our full interview. I also caught up with AEW's Bryan Danielson, who was actually born in Aberdeen, Washington, and he had this to say when asked why people should come to his AEW match this Sunday at Climate Pledge Arena. All right, Bryan, I know you have a match this weekend. Let everybody know why they should pull up.
Well, because one, professional wrestling is so much fun to watch live, especially AEW. But two, if you've ever seen Zack Sabre Jr., he's from England. And you know how they have those pompous English accents that really make it seem like they're talking down to you all the time? Well, guess what? I'm going to punch that pompous face right in the nose. And so, yeah, if you want to see an Englishman get punched in the face, come to the Climate Pledge Arena on Sunday.
In case you missed AEW at Climate Pledge earlier today, they will be back tomorrow, October 1st for Wrestling Dream. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. We're off to our last break, but when we come back, it's time for Affirmation of the Week. Welcome back to Back2Besa. It's time for Affirmation of the Week. This week's affirmation is, I am amazing and capable of far more than I realize. I would be lying if I said I wake up every day on cloud 9 ready to take on the world. I get tired, I get overwhelmed, and I get anxious about things just like everyone else. But here's the thing, the job still has to get done. Don't let the little voice in the back of your head be the reason you don't push yourself to achieve your goals. Your goals have to be so important that you push past your discomfort because you can do it as long as you try your best. Now that's it for this week's episode of Back2Besa. Before we get out of here, I have to wish our producer, Francisco Deadeyes Lopez, a very happy birthday. And with that being said, if you have anything you want me to know about, shoot me an email at back2besa@whereweconverge.com. And of course, catch me in Seattle on Hits 106.1 weekdays 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. and in Portland Sundays 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Jammin' 107.5. As always, I have to thank you for watching. And of course, I want you to have an amazing rest of your day. And definitely keep that energy high.